approve the minutes of the July regular meeting.
So moved.
Proper move. Who said?
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor say aye. Resolution number 120701. Amendment of budget 2011 and 2012. Fiscal year.
I sent y'all a letter of explaining what was over and what was under on the budget. Did you have a chance to look at that?
Yeah, I did. I saw the information that you gave to us. Has the corrections as far as the overruns for last year, have they been corrected in the new budget that probably will be proposed?
The new budget to be adopted?
The new budget to be adopted, has the overruns on the previous?
Yes, there's, a lot of these are maybe one time. Like, this, and not getting ahead of anything, we just say construction permits, what we budgeted in revenue for construction permits, we received the permit revenue for Meadowbrook, or Northbrook already, so that put us way over budget. And we didn't budget for that, but it shows us on our, this month's financial statements that we're way over budget. Of course, that's revenue, but still, it has been adjusted to a certain extent, not for the one time, but I go back every 3 years and kind of look at, and take an average kind of the last 3 years, what we budgeted and what we spent.
Okay.
So it is taken into consideration.
It has been taken into consideration that these overruns were vital, and in some cases necessities, but at the same time, we're going to consider backing off or having them budgeted in this fiscal year's.
Because a lot of the budget did not change.
Okay.
The new budget did not change that much. The expenses really did not, or maybe even less. What hurt us was the balance brought forward from last year, from the prior year. Is what hurt us.
I want to use recreation, for example. We noticed that budget, which is budgeted for this year, 12-13, has been reduced. That is a permanent reduction, as far as we can tell, because it was employees. I mean, a number of people that was behind. Now, we think we can get along without those in the next year. If we can, I mean, that's what we're looking at, because of the excessive amount of people. Therefore, the excessive amount of funds that are utilized.
Okay, so we won't be able to hire as many summer workers next year.
What was that you just said, Ron?
We won't be able to hire as many summer workers
With that reduction in budget?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing?
in recreation.
Approximately how many people, how many kids are we talking about not being able to hire? That's the number probably.
We hired 37 for summer. Well, actually, 37, yeah, it was 37.
There were 37 total, right?
I had 37.
About 15, about half of them.
You have 11 per pool.
then we'll be able to review these, even though we have percentages with our financial statements each month. We'll be able to review these when there is a situation where it looks like something that's going to cost us more than what is projected. We'll be notified ahead of time, so we'll know what to do here. You know, will y'all be able to tell us, you know, what's going on, so we'll know what to expect?
Yes.
Okay.
The detail is in your month.
In month, yeah.
The detail for the month, not the year-to-date, but the month.
The month, right.
Right. Your the spreadsheet that shows your percentages where we are, that is for the year, but
Right.
your actual detail is a monthly detail.
Right, right. The only problem that we have with that is as the month, as it accrues,
Right.
then, you know, the percentages are not as high. So it could be that the rest of the funds may not be utilized and stay within the framework of the budget. And if that is the case, then, you know, there won't be any need, let's say, for concern. It would just be for review.
Right.
But our concern is if it looks like there's a landslide or a large amount that's being utilized over the percentage of
Right.
budget at the time, then that's where we kind of.
Because see, actually, in May, we were not over 100% except for 3 areas, which
Right.
we had discussed along the way.
Right.
And then in June, when we paid June expenses, and some of that is in part because we pay all of our expenses, invoices in June, we try to pay them so there won't be a carryover for the next year. So we pay a lot more bills at the end of June than we normally would. Normally, we would wait till July. So, but it's kind of a true figure of what you spend for the year.
Right, I understand.
But any purchase orders that we have written in June, we try to go ahead and pay them in June. So it'll show up.
Well, this serves as a documentation for us to be able to make
Right.
our decision and, you know, to go from there. I'm hoping that we'll be able to do this without any problem in the next year. Therefore, I guess what I'm gonna do is just make a motion that we accept the recommendation.
Been properly moved that we accept the recommendation.
Second.
And second, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Let the record reflect that, come on, folks. Public hearing and the adoption of ordinance number 953, budget for 2012 and 2013.
Roxy, for you and probably the finance committee, how much does this budget, this proposed budget cash flow, how much does it cash flow by? What margin are we carrying over into this fiscal year?
Into the next year?
Into this, yeah, until in 12-13. That's what this one is set up for, right?
Right.
This budget is set up for 12-13. What type of
We
margin?
show about $18,000 in general fund.
I would like to make a request to the board and Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a request to the board that due to the budget restraint and the amount of carryover that we have, that I would ask that the financial committee consider the request for the council to retain the 2 employees in the fire department that is being considered for release, and that they be replaced by 1 fireman of equal value. That they're released be council and that they be replaced by 1 fireman of equal value to be released. This should have turned into the budget a little bit more, give us a little bit more push.
Do I have a second to the motion?
this is a request for the committee, for the finance committee to consider this, and then if they want us to make a motion, then we will.
Consider that, absolutely.
And I would like to make a motion that the budget can be revised due to the budget restraint, and with concurrence of the finance committee, requesting that those employees with the fire department, 2 employees with the fire department be retained and to be replaced with 1 employee or fireman of that equal value. In other words, retain the 2, and let go 1.
Second that.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that it's unanimously approved.
Is that the budget or just that? Was that the budget or was just that?
That was this for the budget. Now we're ready to do, I guess we need to do one to accept the budget. That was to accept that request, and then the motion. Now we're ready to do one to accept the budget.
Okay.
Mayor, one thing that I want us, the council, to take close consideration is with the police department operating funds at 75,000, we see the gas is at 355 right now. And I know that that's not going to suffice his budget, but he's probably going to go over that. We be in consideration now to make that amendment, where he do not have to jump through what I would say any hoops to amend his budget when the time comes being necessary to do that. Because at this point right now, gas is steadily increasing, and if he needs that additional money, well, we keep that in consideration when we make that, to amend that budget, to do so to help him operate on that, because of that.
Was that a motion?
No, I'm just saying, what else keeping this in
Just have it
consideration?
available?
We don't.
My concern with that, if I may respond, Mayor, is that this budget doesn't lend itself to provide any additional funds to any departments at this time. We have a balanced budget. We're spending basically everything we're bringing in. So the money's not there to give to other departments. This is a tight budget. This is not, and it's not a pretty budget, but it's what we've got to work with right now. I mean, we've reduced revenue by a pretty large sum in a particular area, and that reduction made this thing come to almost a zero balance. So although there may possibly be a need there's nowhere to get the money from. So that's my concern. I mean, it's just not in the budget.
Well, Mr. Gill, if later on in the year that he goes over the budget like they did last year, would we be able to amend that budget, his budget, and give him money to operate on?
I feel legally, yes. I don't know all the rules of that, but as we did last year, I feel that could happen. But that, to me, that doesn't give anybody carte blanche to go out and just spend.
But Mr. Gill, the problem about that spending, that is not happening. Understand this, the spending that's going on is basic needs for the police department, which is fuel. I don't have any control of what the gas price is. And you have a record from the last meeting when I amended the budget due to the price of gas. Also, you have a sheet showing every expenditure that's in the police department, and you yourself said that you could not find any excess expenditure on that list. So the gas prices, I have no control of it. It's just part of it. I'm sorry that it is what it is. But if you go through that list and you can show me where there's an excess spending, I'll be glad to look at it again.
Let me apologize, because when I said spend, I was not pointing at one particular department. I was pointing at the city as a whole when I made that comment. Yeah, it's going to be tough from the budget standpoint, but I think a lot of people are going to have to make some efforts and try. That's all we can do is try.
Yeah.
And if things can't work out, then we got to step back and punt. But right now, the money says we got to try.
Okay, but what I'm saying, though, you're saying step back to punt, but the problem is when I'm spending like 75% of my budget and feel alone.
Well, that's true.
And
And that's what we did last year.
Okay,
That was the
but what
first
I'm
year we
saying,
had a
though,
big
you-
spike in
you
that.
have a
And so
copy.
we're going to see what happens.
You have a copy of what I'm spending, so what my concern is, I'm basing off of last year's figures. Right now, we're at more than gas was costing 1 year ago. It's not going down, it's steady going up. You have seen these same figures that I'm looking at, my expenditures, and like I say, 85% of the budget is gasoline alone. There's no way around it. We have to purchase gas to control it. It has to happen.
Let me, look, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, it's okay. I can understand the fact that the need is there. We know that, and it's going to be there because of the cost, because of the job that you have to perform, and the things that you have to do. We realize that the budget at this particular time does not have any room as far as increasing that amount that we're proposing that you receive in your budget. But there are some alternatives that we're looking at down the line when it comes down to fines and things of this nature, whereas those items that would be generated and the percentage that you would be receiving, which you probably didn't get in the past, hopefully you will be able to get in the future. And if that happens, then I don't think Mr. Gill or the council would mind releasing those back to you in such a way that it would give you enough funds to operate on. You understand? So it's a give and take situation. Right now, we don't have it to give. As it is generated and it appears that the need is there or is great, then we would consider that particular, item at that time. But we got to let it get to that. And as of right now, you have enough to get started on. And we're hoping that, as things start to occur, happening on the budget, as it starts to unfold, those funds will become available by way of general funds, and from general funds, then we will release them if we have those funds available. Is that okay? Does that make sense?
Now, I understand what you're saying, but it's just the point where I'm concerned is the fact that I'll be taking the budget knowing going into the fiscal year that I could not make it within that budget. And at the end of that, we're somewhere in between that year, I'm going to stand up and say that there was not enough money. And no one right now, from looking at what my operating budget is, knowing with the figures that gas is now, let aside, the emergencies that may come up, that I cannot make it this year.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but this procedure is given to us in the Budget Act of Louisiana, and it provides for a way out for you to be able to do that without you making you look like you're less than a man. And that's pretty much what you're saying.
That's what is happening.
But
It looks like I cannot match money.
No, that's not the case.
That's what it looks like.
That's it.
I cannot match the amount of money that's being given to me, because each time I stand before the council and ask for amendment, that's exactly what it looks like, that I cannot match what I have, not knowing that what I have is not enough to make it through the year.
Well, economic conditions like this will cause it to appear that way, but believe, we'll be there to help you. But we can only help with what we got. At this particular time, we don't have that to give. So to get started and to get everything on track, to get us out of the hole that we're in, we'll start with a little bit. Hopefully, we'll be able to generate, and things as time goes on, we'll be able to generate, you'll be able to generate, and we'll be able to generate funds in the general funds where we can, assist you should the need arise. Believe that we will, because we have in the past, and we won't fail you yet. So give us that opportunity to prove ourselves as well as we know that you will do your part.
That's my concern.
I understand.
That's also the whole budget itself is a tight budget, and we're not sure that we're going to make this budget ourselves on the whole. See, the because the projections of the income are extremely high, and we're hoping we can make that. We know going in ourselves, we're running on a tight budget, just like you are for the whole city. It's gonna be tight on all of them, every facet of it.
I mean, I understand that.
You're not being singled out. Every little department is gonna be running on a tight budget, don't it?
But every department did come before the council last year with an amendment like I did. And that's
But if
my
they fall
concern.
short, they would have, because that's procedure, that's what they'd have to do. And you did exactly right, and you did it right, and that was the thing that you were supposed to do. So there's no hard feeling for you doing your job. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be done.
Those are my concerns.
Is the hearing over? Other hearings over?
Need a motion.
I move that we close the hearing.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now we need a motion.
I'll now move to accept the budget through June 30, 2013.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Let the record reflect that it's unanimously approved. Resolution number 120801, airport apron rehab.
Good evening, Mayor Campbell. Yes.
Can't see you.
Might be a good thing. Again, I'm Bob Yoder with Volkert. We're helping you guys with the airport. I want to talk about three things, actually, today. Two of them are the resolutions on here, and one of them just to give you an update on the current project that we have going on at the airport. Real quick, just very briefly, as you know, we started a pavement maintenance project at the airport with the help of the FAA and the LADOTD. That project has been underway. Contractor was on site last week, taking some core samples and some initial testing he has to do. Should be about a week or so before that's back. Test results are back, and those are back. We'll be on there to get that thing freshened up for you guys with that paperwork on. With that, resolution number 0801, the airport apron rehab. What you guys have in front of you is a resolution for a design project to be funded through the FAA and the LADOTD to reconstruct or rehabilitate the existing apron at the airport. I believe you guys have provided a sketch of that area, so you know what I'm familiar with. There's a concrete area out there. We refer to it as the ag apron. We've been working with Mr. Laney at the airport. That area, if you're familiar with it, is just deteriorated severely, causing a lot of safety concerns with the FAA and LADOTD. It's coming apart, and they're concerned about getting rocks and debris into the aircraft. That apron is a very vital part of the airport's business with the agricultural groups. The FAA and DOTD have agreed to fund that redesign, and we'll be looking to do a construction project, take that project out to bid next spring.
So the bids would go out when
It'd be next spring. It kind of would depend on the FAA schedule. It's a design project only for this year, and it would be funded under FY 2013 as a construction project. So whenever they told us April, May, June timeframe to take it out for bid, if the money was available, then we would take it out at that time.
may I ask Skipper a question? Wasn't there some apron work done just recently somewhere at our airport? Was that some of the aprons that we had a delay because of drainage and that sort of thing?
We had a delay on type of sub-base on that saw,
Yeah.
but that was in front of Lanny's,
Right.
part of the airport there, and then we used the building, and we built that, the house.
And no work was done on the apron?
No,
Okay.
no.
approve the minutes of the July regular meeting.
So moved.
Properly moved. Who's second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Resolution number 120701. Amendment to budget 2011 and 2012. Fiscal year.
I sent y'all a letter of explaining what was over and what was under on the budget. Did you have a chance to look at that?
Yeah, I did. I saw the information that you gave to us. Has the corrections as far as the overruns for last year, have they been corrected in the new budget that probably would be proposed?
The new
These-
budget to be adopted?
The new budget to be adopted, has the overruns on the previous?
Yes, there's, a lot of these are maybe one time. Like, just, and not getting ahead of anything, we just say construction permits, what we budgeted in revenue for construction permits, we received the permit revenue for Meadowbrook, or Northbrook already, so that put us way over budget. And we didn't budget for that, but it shows us on our, this month's financial statements that we're way over budget. Of course, that's revenue, but still, it has been adjusted to a certain extent, not for the one time, but I go back every 3 years and kind of look at, and take an average kind of the last 3 years, what we budgeted and what we spent.
Okay.
So it is taken into consideration.
It has been taken into consideration that these overruns were vital, and in some cases necessities, but at the same time, we're going to consider backing off or having them budgeted in this fiscal year's.
Because a lot of the budget did not change.
Okay.
The new budget did not change that much. The expenses really did not, or maybe even less. What hurt us was the balance brought forward from last year, from the prior year. Is what hurt us.
I want to use recreation, for example. We noticed that budget, well, that which is budgeted for this year, 12-13, has been reduced. That is a permanent reduction, as far as we can tell, because it was employees, I mean, a number of people that were hired. Now, we think we can get along without those in the next year. I mean, if we can, I mean, that's what we're looking at, because of the excessive amount of people, therefore the excessive amount of funds that are utilized.
Okay, so we won't be able to hire as many summer workers next year.
What was that you just said, Ron?
We won't be able to hire as many summer workers
We have a reduction in the budget?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing?
in recreation.
Approximately how